Since the Equalization program was entrenched in the Canadian Constitution in 1982, Alberta has contributed over $600 billion more to federal revenues than it has received back in federal spending. To Albertans, this represents a structural imbalance. The province sustains the national economy through the volatility of the global oil cycles, while federal tax dollars fund social programs in provinces that frequently oppose Alberta's core industries. Quebec remains the primary focus of this tension, of course. In 2026, the friction has escalated as Alberta manages its own infrastructure deficits and healthcare backlogs. Simultaneously, Quebec maintains subsidized daycare and the lowest university tuition in the country, supported by a formula that utilizes Alberta's resource-generated tax base. Resolving this debate requires an analysis of fiscal capacity, the math that determines which provinces receive payments and which do not. Equalization is not a direct transfer from the Alberta government to the Quebec government. It is funded through federal income taxes collected from individuals and businesses across the country. Every Canadian pays the same federal tax rates based on their income. The controversy lies in the redistribution of that revenue. The federal government allocates these funds to have-not provinces to ensure all Canadians have access to comparable public services at comparable levels of taxation. Alberta possesses a higher fiscal capacity than any other province due to high energy sector wages and corporate taxes. Under the current formula, this classifies Alberta as a half province, and conversely, Quebec, despite its large GDP, has a lower per capita fiscal capacity, making it the largest recipient. In 2026, Quebec is scheduled to receive approximately $13.9 billion. Albertans view this as a system that penalizes economic productivity while subsidizing provinces that choose not to develop similar resource wealth. What do you guys think? A specific point of contention is how the formula calculates natural resource revenue. The formula currently includes 50% of a province's actual resource royalties. Alberta's oil and gas royalties are market-based and transparent, which increases the province's calculated fiscal capacity and ensures it receives zero equalization. Quebec's primary resource is hydroelectricity, managed through state-owned Hydro-Quebec. Because the province provides power to its citizens at rates significantly below the global market value, that potential wealth is not captured as revenue in the equalization formula. Alberta argues that if Quebec sold electricity at market rates, its fiscal capacity would rise and its eligibility for equalization would disappear. And this is often called the Hydro loophole. To Western critics, this represents a mathematical oversight that allows Quebec to maintain low utility bills while receiving federal top-ups funded by provinces that sell their resources at market rates and market prices. In 2021, 62% of Albertans voted in the referendum to remove equalization from the Constitution. While a single province cannot change the Constitution alone, the vote served as a formal demand for negotiation. By 2026, the lack of federal response has led to the implementation of the Alberta Sovereignty within the United Canada Act. The provincial government's position is that the federal government cannot take Alberta tax wealth while passing environmental legislation such as oil and gas emission caps that restrict Alberta's ability to generate that wealth. This perceived double standard that has fueled the Fair Deal movement. Alberta is now actively moving to establish its own provincial pension plan and tax collection agency. These moves are designed to create a fiscal firewall, giving the province more control over the wealth generated within its borders. The mandate of equalization is to provide reasonably comparable services across Canada. However, in 2026, data suggests that services in recipient provinces often exceed those in Alberta. Quebec provides $10 a day daycare and the lowest tuition rates in North America. Albertans who are theoretically in a wealthier province pay higher out-of-pocket costs for the same services. The provincial budget in Alberta is tied to the price of a barrel of oil. When prices drop, Alberta faces austerity. Yet, its federal tax contribution continues to support stable gold-plaster services in the East. And this has turned a technical accounting debate into a regional identity conflict. Does that sound about right? Federal policy currently caps the growth of the equalization program to the growth of the national GDP. While this prevents the program from ballooning, it has created a lag effect. The formula uses a 3-year weighted average of economic data. In 2026, the payments are based on data from 2023 to 2025, for example. If Alberta's economy enters a sudden recession, the province must wait 3 years for the formula to reflect its decreased capacity. This delay means Alberta often continues to pay out through federal taxes based on the past prosperity while experiencing a present-day crisis. This lag reinforces the feeling in Calgary and Edmonton that the system is disconnecting from the current economic reality. Equalization was intended to be the mechanism that ensured the national standards. In 2026, however, it is the primary source of national division. Alberta sees a system that rewards economic underperformance and punishes resource development. Quebec and the Atlantic provinces see equalization as a fundamental right of the Canadian social contract and a way to share the geological lottery of resource wealth. The debate has moved beyond the spreadsheet. As Alberta prepares for the year ahead for the 2026 referendum on its role in the Federation, the question is whatever a fair deal can be reached without total overhaul of the 1982 formula. The money continues to flow, but the political consensus that supports it is very quickly disappearing. What do you guys think? Anyways, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.